everyone, welcome to Tech Talks. My name is Michael Bertoni, and I'm the founder and CEO of Philly Tech, and your host for Tech Talks. Tech Talks is every Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. from our great location here in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. The show is dedicated to startups, tech companies, entrepreneurs, people in the ecosystem. We really want to add value to them and what you do. So everybody has ideas, and I feel like they could bring these ideas to light to help people, but there's a lot of great software companies and tech companies in our region. So I'm extremely excited today to have my guest, Leroy Jones. He, believe it or not, GSI was one of my first clients, Leroy. I don't know if you know that, but they were one of my first clients when I started about a little over 5 years ago. So Leroy is the CEO, the founder of Airflow, his own company, a management consulting company. He also had an awesome exit from a company that some people in the audience might know, GSI Health, a great health tech company. And so it's so awesome when I have somebody here who has an exit, because there's not necessarily tons of people in Philadelphia who had exits from software companies. So it is awesome to have you on the show, Leroy.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation.
Absolutely. So just tell the audience, Leroy, a little bit about your background, because I think, I was looking at your LinkedIn. Your background is really interesting. What did you do before you got started in tech? Are you from the area, that type of thing?
Yeah, I'm a native son of Philadelphia. I grew up here. I went to public schools here. I did all the things that, endeared me to this area. And I don't know what I did before tech. I think I was always in tech. My undergraduate degree was in computer science.
Nice.
And I came out and was a software engineer and built software for years and advanced through the ranks of managing software teams and that sort of thing until I was a chief technology officer. And then one day I stopped doing that and started doing GSI Health.
Yeah. So guys, really exciting company. So for those in the audience that are listening, GSI Health is really one of the leaders, they got acquired. They had Leroy had an exit. One of the leaders in health tech software for hospital systems. And so tell the audience a little bit about that journey, Leroy. So I think the company was 13, 14, 15 years old. I know that. You built the software. When I started working with you, I think the software was in existence for like 10 plus years at that time. But awesome story. So tell the audience a little bit about that journey through GSI Health.
Yeah, so I actually started the company in 2003. And we started out as a consulting company doing healthcare IT consulting, data management, those sorts of things. And I didn't start out with a software product or software service. And actually the first half of the life of the company was doing these professional services and contract software development. And it just sort of grew as we started to design solutions. Our customers wanted us to build them. As we started to build them, they wanted us to manage them. And as we started to manage them, we said, well, why are we doing this over and over and over again? Why don't we build our own product? And when we did that led to this software as a service offering that we had, and that was right around 2012. And then 2012 through 14, we started to jettison all of the work that we'd had on the professional services side and really became a full-on SaaS company. Yeah. And then we sold last year in October. So, all told, it was 16 years, almost to the day that we had that company operating. So,
yeah, and so Leroy was the founder and CEO. I mean, he was the brainchild of GSI. So, tell the audience a little bit about that. So what are some takeaways? So what would you say? Great question here. What are the 3 to 5 takeaways from GSI that you really learned that would help other founders, right? Or other people that are trying to get involved in tech?
There's so many lessons that I could expound upon, but, I think the top ones for me were, one, you have to really sort of just believe in your internal voice telling you what you ought to do. We were a professional services company, and we decided we wanted to start to have a software product. And everyone said, oh, well, you can't really pivot that way. You have to lay off everyone and hire everyone else back. Your customers are going to all go away. And we were able to make that turn without laying anyone off, using the same staff to build the software and operate software, and without losing any customers, bringing all of that along. So you have to really believe in what you're doing. Secondly, you have to be willing to grow quickly and do what it takes to do that. So in my case, when we wanted to do the software, we needed to raise money. And a lot of people then said, oh, well, you don't want to give up equity, you don't want to do this, there are all these sharks. But I'll tell you that, if we hadn't raised money and ultimately brought on other partners, we wouldn't have been able to grow at the pace that we did. We were 3 years on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing private companies, and all that was because we were willing to share our equity in order to do what we want. My third lesson would be in that you should really, if you're going to raise money, you should really drive the bus. Sometimes if you're raising money for the first time, you may feel as though you're not experienced enough, you don't know who to listen to. Again, that inner voice should really guide you. If you're a CEO of a company, you should trust your instincts about things. Make a deal. There is no standard deal. There is no standard, oh, this is typical, you're asking for something that's atypical. Whatever you want, that is what you should go for and drive for and try to make the best deal that you can when it comes to raising money. And then the next lesson I would say is sometimes technologists who start companies, it's all about the technology product itself. And they feel like they have a good idea. They may be a technologist, may even be tinkering and building it. But you really have to rise above that and look at the business and the marketplace that you're in. And what is going to appeal to that marketplace? And that will impact not just what your product is, but how you bring it to market, what the different business models are that are going to optimize your revenue, and really think about working on your business as a growth company as opposed to being enamored with the value of your product or your offering. And a lot of technologists are all about, this is a great idea, why don't people want it? And you have to say, people buy for their reasons, not for your reasons. You need to go figure out what the market needs and make sure that you can meet that as opposed to the other way around.
Absolutely. I mean, that is like, to my ear, that is so important. I mean, you're building software for your customers, right? You need to understand what your customers want and build that and build it awesome, right? And then once you get great customers, make sure they're ecstatic, right? But awesome story. So again, Leroy had an exit, right? So awesome stuff. He had an exit, but now he's kind of going on in his next journey, right? And he started Airflow. And so tell the audience a little bit about what that is, right? What do you do? What are the services you provide?
Yeah, so, for those of you who may have had an exit, you sort of need some time to sort of just absorb what happened to you. I ran that company for 16 years. I need to sort of exhale for, for a little while. And but at the same time, you don't want to fall too far behind. So originally, Airflow was a way for me to have a platform to do sort of, side jobs, little consulting here, et cetera. But what I realized was that entire experience of taking a company from inception all the way through sale gave me a lot of lessons that that the upcoming entrepreneurs didn't necessarily have or didn't have the same perspective on. And so as I started to get various consulting engagements, they had the same basic needs. And so the whole management consulting part of this was, hey, I'll set up a framework that if you're at this stage, I can offer you a small company, startup, et cetera, pre-revenue or little revenue. How is it that you get through that period? If you've already done that and now you're in a stage where, hey, things seem to be working, but I'm slowing down, there's a plateau, I don't know exactly how to tune the business, there's a refined portion that we help people with. And then some people have said, hey, we've gotten that now, we need to scale, we need expertise on the ground to help me build the organization. There's another portion. So we try to match the stage of the business to the service offerings that we have and bring some sort of timely wisdom so people can have an accelerant and really grow, because growth is the name of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm interested to learn more about that too, because I mean, so all I work with is software companies and tech startups, right? You know, early stage, A round, right? Like early stage companies for the most part. Most are seed angel. What do you, in your services that you're offering, I mean, I'm sure there's growth, there's building stuff, right? So where do you see, like, if someone's early stage, where should they be starting? Like, what should they really be thinking about in terms of what they're building? Like, if they're building something, you're saying, okay, I could offer you value. What are the things? Like, if a couple things you're like, God, these pillars you really need to figure out.
Well, if you're talking about really early companies, a lot of it has to do with understanding your marketplace and defining your customer personas, understanding what the value proposition is that you have, and what is it that causes those people to buy. And if you can figure out why they're buying, not necessarily, hey, because of these features and functions that I offer, but what problems your features and functions will solve for them. A lot of people sort of jump into, my software does this, my software does that, instead of, you're having this issue, I can show you how to alleviate that issue. And by the way that you do that is using my software.
Right.
So it's really a lot of perspective that the early entrepreneurs need.
Yeah.
And then if they're able to get through that, the next set of things you start to see is, hey, when do I add a sales team? When do I need a CFO? When do I need HR? Should I continue to have 1099s working, or do I want to start hiring employees? Should I have a location, or should I be virtual? All of those kinds of growth decisions are things that people just may not have experienced before. And so trying to have a safe place where people can, CEOs in particular, can ask those questions or lay out the things that they're unsure of is really what I try to provide. And it's not just me. I try to assemble them into groups of companies that are at like stages so that they can mentor one another as well as get enrichment from Airflow.
Nice, nice. So come on back in a few minutes. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this platform. So I'm kind of learning a little bit more about what you're building. I mean, you're building this platform, and now I'm learning there's companies inside of it. This is really cool. So we're going to learn more about this, more about what Leroy sees as the future of what he's doing, and really the future of his market. So come on back to Tech Talks in a few minutes. Thanks.
October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed within their lifetime. RVN-TV is asking for your support for breast cancer survivors and those currently battling the disease. You can do this by wearing pink ribbons or clothing throughout the month of October. Early detection and treatment is crucial, and we at RVN-TV encourage all women to consider undergoing breast clinical exams and mammograms. The fight against breast cancer needs your support. The 2020 election is right around the corner. RVN-TV encourages you to register and vote. To get information about how to register and the different methods to vote this election season, visit vote.gov. Every vote counts, so don't delay.
This plus this equals this plus this and this. Don't drink and drive.
So welcome back to Tech Talks. My name is Michael Bertoni, and I'm the founder and CEO of Philly Tech, and I am here with Leroy Jones. He exited from a great company, GSI Health, and now he is the founder and CEO of Airflow. And we were talking about his platform, which very, very interesting. So he was talking about how he puts these, he does, I think, probably some type of assessment in the beginning, and then you group them into different groups and then allow them to talk to each other. So really, really cool. I know it could help my clients and my customers, so tell us more about that.
Sure. So when I was running GSI Health, I was part of a group, an executive CEO group called Vistage. You may have heard. It's a
I
worldwide
love that.
company. And we would go and they would pair us, or they put us into groups of companies that were at similar stages so that you could build up a network of trusted advisors to help you grow your business. And we all help one another. Well, a lot of early stage companies don't have that kind of network. They don't have the capital to pay for something like that.
Sure.
So I wanted to help earlier stage companies with that. So I started a group called Parakaleo. It's a club, we call it Club Parakaleo, but it's the same idea. We bring these companies together so that they can form a network and they really advise one another and bring their business problems and challenges to the table every month. And they help one another. And in addition to that, I infuse enrichment into those groups on some of the things that they all struggle with. Marketing, business structure, go-to-market plan, strategy, evaluation of ideas, personnel, other things like that.
Yeah, so I love it. I mean, so you built this. So I've always tell founders when I work with them, you got to have an underlying community, right? So you got to have some type of community, right? I have like a health tech meetup, right? I actually have a software and health tech meetup that I can't really do much with these days, but you've done that. It's great. And then I'm assuming you're getting clients out of that, right? You're getting clients, so you're bringing clients into this club. Do they pay for this club, or is it more like, is there a fee to join this club, or is it like more free? And then tell the audience how that works, and then what are the services, like what are the core things you're working with clients on?
There is a fee, and it's not because we're making lots of money off of Club Parakaleo. It's really because you need to have some investment in this, or else you'll just sign up and you won't be, because the real value in that is not the enrichments that you get. So if you just want enrichment, you can get an executive coach, right? What a lot of people do. But the real value here is you have people who are bringing their like problems to the table, and you will discover all the things that you need to run your own business by listening to how other people run theirs. And giving people advice will help you think about your business differently and seeing best practices. So we really try to get units that are close knit, and for that you need to have some commitment to the unit, i.e. you pay for it, so that if you're not committed, you won't want to pay for it and you'll go away. We want to know that sooner rather than later.
Right.
But two, so they're all clients, but two, once you start to form that network, then you have value outside of our meetings, right? You now have people you can go to. They know your story because every month the same group is coming back together. They hold you accountable. They challenge you to do things. They give their advice, and they have different kinds of companies, so you can ask people who have more or less experience in different things. And that's really the magic of it. It's the group as opposed to the executive coaching. Now, in addition to the group work, you can have one-on-one. So we will do more of an executive coaching kind of service for the individual CEOs should they need it as they request it. And so that's for an additional fee, but you don't have to do that. You can come and you can absorb things in the group. And throughout the month, we also feed them a lot of content that helps them with their common problems. The biggest thing that, so our inaugural Parakaleo group is really big on marketing now. And in particular, how is it that I go through and set up my different social media strategy and my web strategy and try to get leads and what works, what doesn't work. This is my budget. How can I make, my $5 work versus, I have a budget that's, 50,000 or whatever. And, all of those kinds of things are really common to the group. So it's very rare that there's any wasted time. Everyone learns from what everyone else needs.
Yeah, this is extremely topical, Leroy, because I'm in a group. I'm in a group. I'll tell you more about it at some point. It's called Co-Solo, and geez, I'm getting so much value out of this group. It's a little bit like not as in my niche, right? Like, so it's a lot of different types of companies. So like if I was gonna, I'm actually interested in learning more about your club, so because I was looking for that, right? And a lot of my clients were looking for that. So I definitely see the value. So when you're talking to these companies now, I'm assuming you're in this club, and then I'm assuming you're then maybe working with some, right? Maybe there's a couple of them in there that you're working with a little more deeper, right? What I really love about what you're saying too is that you come from an engineering background, but you're focused in sales. Like I can hear like you're so focused in sales, which is so unlike many founders, right? That are right, that, and it's so needed. This is so needed. So, what types of service? So when you're working with these companies, they pay you a monthly fee. I'm assuming to be in, but what are the things you see that they really need help? You're saying marketing. So if they need help with marketing or other areas, then what do you do? Like what's the next steps if they need deeper dive things?
So we deliver what I call enrichments every meeting. And that'll be the first hour or so where there'll be a topic that we're going through and telling them, how is it that you do this? How do you figure out these customer personas? How do you decide where you're going to spend your marketing dollars? How do you do X, Y, and Z? Yeah. So, and then there's discussion as, of course, in that. You're right that some of the CEOs are more, that's great, I learned that, but now I want to apply this and I want you to take what you told me in the group and now bring it to my specific situation. So in those cases, they will have more of an executive coaching kind of session, which outside of the group, and we'll talk specifically about their goals and objectives. And my job is really to hear what they're saying, give them a framework to evaluate what they're trying to do and give my perspective on it, set some goals and hold them accountable over time for those things. Some of it is instructional, but a lot of it is really just helping them to organize their approach. And that could be around marketing, that could be around multiple streams of income. Some of these, companies have challenges with focus. Hey, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. I understand you can do a lot of things. Should you do all those things? Yeah. Getting people to focus in, getting people to go against their natural tendencies. Like you said, for techies, it may not be sales, right? Hey, this product is this, that, and I'm going to build this minimally viable product. Okay, that's great. How are you going to handle operations? How are you going to scale if you get customers? How are you going to sell this? Or someone else who's working in their business, how do you step back and say, I need to delegate this, I need to get resources who can do these things. So it's not all about me working in the business, I want to work on the business. So those are the early stage kinds of things. The companies that I'm talking to are usually before the stage that they want to raise any money or anything like that. Right. They're just trying to do it on their own, or they have friends and family, supporting them. So.
Yeah, what's really cool about your background compared to, again, like I hear sales, like I hear engineering, but then I hear sales. I'm like, wow, that's cool. But the other thing that I'm thinking is, just like you built GSI started as a services company, and then you built a product. Like there are a lot of people trying to figure out what you're doing from a platform software perspective, right? And like what's really cool is you're an engineering background. So like as you're doing it, are you thinking like kind of like the GSI story? It's like, hey, I'm doing this thing, I'm kind of doing services. Do I maybe want to build this into software, right? Like, do I want to have, because there's a lot of, everybody needs this. Like I'm telling you, everybody needs it. And we're using Slack on the back end. We're using like other stuff, and it stinks, right? It's not purpose built for our use case, right? So what do you think the future is for you? Like, are you gonna, you think you're going to get back into software? Do you think you're gonna build this into software? Like, I'm real curious because this is a cool concept. I really like this.
Yeah, I think that this whole move toward software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure, all these as a service, I think really just points out the fact that people don't need software per se, they need help. Yeah. And that's what services are about. And so even if you have a technology product, if you think of that technology product as another helper, and then you start to build a workflow where that is a helper, some consulting service is a helper, some employees a helper, you can design how this service works, and then you can balance who should be doing the most work or who should be doing certain kinds of work. If it's your software, then that gives you a guideline for your software roadmap. If you're trying to relieve responsibilities from a particular role, shifting those into your software, I think is a way to go. So for me, it's the same thing. I'm now giving services to companies. Yeah. A lot of them want to know what works. And so I will build a software platform that helps you figure out what works. But it's still in the same vein of trying to provide this service to you in a more automated fashion.
Yeah.
And that's really what
no, it's awesome. I mean, I'm curious. I mean, it sounds like you're having a lot of fun, right? It's enjoy it, because when you're working with companies that are early stage and you're helping them, there's a lot of enjoyment from it. There isn't necessarily like the endless supply of dollars, because everybody's early stage, right? So again, curious, what's the future of this for you? Like, so what do you think you're going to be doing in the next few years? Or are you just trying to, again, take a break and figure it out, right?
Yeah, I think that you'd be surprised that we've been talking about all these early stage companies.
Yeah.
The next level up, where I have customers have similar problems, right?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm trying to add in a sales team. Before it was all referrals and it was executive relationships. Now I want someone to go out and take over the country for me. What's the sales model? And then if you start talking about what's the sales model, you have to start talking about what is it you're selling, right? Who is your customer? Same set of issues, just at a more advanced level with more resources to actually do something about it. And so we're helping companies at different stages, essentially with this similar kind of model. So if I can automate that model and have a platform that helps businesses of any size,
I love it.
Then that in and of itself can be the future.
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, like, I'm interested. Now, is it in kind of our market too? Like, are a lot of your clients like early stage software companies, tech startups, like, or are they kind of all over the map? Is
all over the map,
Yeah.
from financial services to software companies to someone's trying to build a lawn care empire, all of those different things. But the thing that sets us apart, or at least you talked about screening in the beginning. This is not for someone who wants to have sort of a side hustle, right? This is someone who says, I want to go beyond being a small business, which we define as $7.5 million in top line revenue. So if you want to get there and you're committed to doing what is necessary, that's going to take you into the top 10%. Well, look, if you can just get over $1 million a year, you're in the top 10% of businesses.
Yeah.
So we're trying to get you beyond the definition of a small business. And that means you can't do things like you see your peers doing. You have to do things toward that goal. And that's really the crowd that we focus on, ones who want growth. Now, everyone doesn't want that, right? Some people like lifestyle businesses. Some people want things that make their lives comfortable, and that's fine. But that's not really who we're looking for. We're looking for people who want to grow and get to the next stage.
This is so awesome. I mean, everyone, it's so topical. So everybody in my audience that has a startup idea or is entrepreneurial should reach out to Leroy, right? Because Leroy's helping you get to 1 million, then get to 7 million, right? It doesn't matter if you're a software company or a tech startup. It's like you have a business. You're a financial services company. You sell insurance. You do something else, right? It's unbelievable. So, Leroy, tell the audience where they can find you, right? Your contact information, social stuff. It's been a great show. We'll complete the show here, and I think a lot of people will be interested in this.
Sure. So, as you heard, the name of the company is Airflow, but it's actually spelled E-R-E-F-L-O-W. We have an ERE framework, which is also the English word air, as in before. Look, ere you leap. Look before you leap.
I love it.
And the ERE framework is engage, refine, and execute. And so airflow.com, EREFLOW.com. You can reach us. There's contact information there. I'm happy to speak to anyone in the audience who's thinking about, hey, how do I get my business to the next level? That's really, we have all the social media outlets with the same name as well.
Nice. So again, Leroy, awesome to have you on the show. Great stuff.
Appreciate it, man.
So come on back to Tech Talks every week, 12:30 p.m. on Wednesdays, where we interview awesome people like Leroy that are really here to help you succeed. So come on back to Tech Talks next week. Thanks.